If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today to review the 2019 reboot Star Trek, starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, and Eric Bana, directed by J.J. Abrams. Aboard the USS Enterprise, the most sophisticated starship ever built, a novice crew embarks on its maiden voyage. Their path takes them on a collision course with Nero, played by Eric Bana, a Romulan commander whose mission of vengeance threatens all mankind. If humanity would survive, a rebellious young officer named James T. Kirk, played by Chris Pine, and a coolly logical Vulcan named Spock, played by Zachary Quinto, must move beyond their rivalry and find a way to defeat Nero before it is too late. Alright, so this is a rewatch for me. I watched this when it came out on DVD, I believe in 2010, 2011. And I gotta be honest with you, I was interested because it looked fun, and the visuals of it actually looked very impressive. But I didn't see it in theaters, so I waited on Blu-ray and DVD when it came out. And I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good movie. Was it enough to make me want to watch the older Star Trek movies at the time? No. I figured that they rebooted this so much that it wasn't anything like the older Star Trek movies. And boy, was I wrong. I gotta tell you, I think watching the older movies before watching this made me appreciate exactly how good this reboot is. First off, the characters from casting to development is incredibly well done. Let's get to casting first, because when it comes to a reboot and you're having new people play familiar characters, it is incredibly important to get the casting right. And I can't think of one thing that this movie did wrong. Everything from Spock and Kirk to even like Scotty and Uhura, I think is all incredibly well done in this. And I really have to point out how good Spock was in this. Zachary Quinto as Spock, I thought, was really well done in this for a couple of reasons. One, he shows really well the problems that Spock has dealing with his half ancestry. If you already know, he's part Vulcan, part human, and his culture looks down on him on that. And Quinto plays that character with that conflict shown while he's still trying to be cool and collected and very logical and non-emotional. And Quinto just does an incredibly good job playing Spock with this type of neuroses. I gotta also say, spoilers if you have not seen it, it's been about 15 years, but oh well. When Nimoy as Spock comes by, it's also developed very well because Nimoy shows more emotion than he ever has as Spock in the older movies. And that kind of dichotomy of showing the old Spock, who was very rigid when he was playing that role, then showing Quinto as Spock when he is young and trying to control his emotions, I thought was a really good juxtaposition. I thought it was really well done on this. I must get into the other characters too. Pine as Kirk was good. Saldana as Uhura was also good. I really liked what they did with John Cho as Sulu. I know in the movie he had some close quarters combat that he got to show at some point, but they really showed it off in this one, and it made Sulu look really badass in this. I think Scotty was a little overdone, but I'm fine with that. And then finally, Bones. I think they really pulled off Carl Urban as Bones really well in this as well. Again, the casting and the way that they developed these characters were really well done. I have zero complaints about this. What this film also does is that it matches the mix of comedy, drama, and action from the original series. One of the things from the original series movies that they did very well is the best ones mix all three of those elements together in a really nice cohesive mold that made it just a joy to watch, but also get attachment from. Star Trek 2 was like that. Star Trek 6 was like that. To a certain extent, I would say 3 as well, but the better ones had that mix done very effectively, and this one, I think, is one of the most effective with that. There are scenes where they are very funny, there are scenes that have great action, and then there is some really good drama in there as well. Specifically with Spock, I would say, that is really well done in this. It's a movie that encapsulates all that type of storytelling in an incredibly good way. I am beyond impressed on how well it does. Now, I will also say another huge step up is the visuals and special effects. I think the visuals in a lot of the landscapes and a lot of the building, the use of colors, and the architecture that they use on these ships, which I will say again are excellent, except for the Enterprise. I don't know why they decided to make the Enterprise not only completely white, but but to have lens flares on top of lens flares on top of bright lights shining on the screen, that just made it unwatchable at times. One of the things about the Enterprise that I really liked in the 6 movies from the original series, and to a certain extent the Next Generation, is that there's personality and character in those ships. And this just seemed like if Apple made a Star Trek ship, and that's not very interesting to me. And again, the lens flares. Oh my god, the lens flares were way too much. Why do you have so many lens flares? I know it's a joke with criticism when it comes to J.J. Abrams, but really, this was excessive in this movie. And it kind of drowned out scenes in the film that I thought would have looked much more visually distinctive without it. I don't remember if they added more color into the Enterprise in the next 2 movies, but I hope they do. So, to my surprise, overall, I'm going to highly recommend the Star Trek 2009 reboot. I was really surprised how much more I enjoyed this after a second viewing, and especially after watching the older films. They got everything right when it comes to the characters, the casting, and the development of those characters. And then this has the feel of those older movies when it comes to the mix of action, comedy, and drama, and just putting them into a mold so well tuned. So I really enjoy that. The only issue that I have, despite that the visuals and the special effects are really good, is the look of the Enterprise. I think it looks hideous. Just the amount of white and brightness and lack of color is just a complete eyesore. But overall, I will highly recommend Star Trek the 2009 reboot. It is on Paramount Plus if you have not checked it out. I'll tell you this, even if you are not a Star Trek fan, check this out. It is very good. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Thank you for listening to this review. If you want to know what we're reviewing in the next couple days, you can look on the screen right now to see what's coming up next. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you want to discuss your opinion on the film or the review itself, please leave a comment. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time.